what Christmas is all about.
Some want to pull down every manger scene and tell us why our favorite Christmas traditions are wrong.
Newsflash, not in the Bible. That's a pagan idol symbol. It was the winter solstice. Jesus was not born in December. It's exactly what the Druids did. It's like a carjacking, but like of our religion. And guess what? Santa got in the car, kicked Jesus out, and was like, rolling, 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 and just took it.
Isn't it time somebody spoke up? Everything you see inside there, it's all about Christmas. It's all about Jesus. I know you love Christmas, and you want it to be all about what it's all about. This Christmas, dive headfirst into all of the joy, the dancing, the celebration, the feasting, the imagination and traditions that glorify the true reason for the season.
Woo, work, Holy Spirit. Ha! Can I get an amen? I see them scales are falling off. Glory, glory.
Join me and my family, and together, let's put Christ back into Christmas.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie. We are part of the Main Naming Network. To find more from us, check out the website at themaindaming.com or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Main Naming. We're also now a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gbnation.com. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Delvecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
How's it going, guys?
I don't know if you guys have this, but I think I had a moment while watching through this movie and then rereading, because I had watched this movie before, how much my thoughts have changed in 6 years over what has gone on in the world in those last 6 years. There's not a piece of media that purposely encapsulates that than the movie we watched today.
So,
and I'll get into it.
So in 2014, you loved this movie.
I can't believe
It's 2015.
I can't believe I heard that the same thing. You watched this movie before
Twice.
This? Yeah. And once
Dan,
on
have
your
you
own.
ever been to our website? I literally wrote a review on the website.
No, you did that. You wanted to watch this movie.
Dan doesn't even listen to the show.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But we actually have a guest this week from Binge Media. We have Alyx. Alyx, thanks for joining us.
Well, you guys said this was going to be a big Kirk Cameron fan expo, so as the leading Midwestern Kirk Cameron fan, I'm happy to be here. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit, tell the listeners about Binge Media.
All right. Well, we are a movie and TV podcast, and it's super unique. We've been doing this since 2015, when Binge Media started, and just this past year, during 2021, we revamped our Patreon to include the full binge. It's $5 a month. You get some of our exclusive shows. You get, the first couple hours of the binge cast, which is available on the free feed, but we also do another couple hours of just exclusive content for Patreon. That's patreon.com/binge media. And we're having a good time, talking movies, as you guys do.
Great. Yeah. I mean, the main website's bingemedia.net, right?
Correct.
Great. Yeah, we had Pete before to talk to us about the Neil Breen movie. I don't even remember the name of it anymore. And I know you guys went into like a little bit of a rabbit hole watching Neil Breen movies after that.
Yeah, that would be Double Down. That
Right.
is the the first one from the greatest living writer-director that we know, Neil Breen. Big bone to pick with you guys for introducing us to that. Because we did go down a rabbit hole. And, one of our guys wound up picking up the 5-film retrospective from Mr. Neil Breen.
Oh, man.
Which we're getting ready to put together a night where we could, bask in the glory of one of the greatest cinematic minds that we know today, including Kirk Cameron.
Yeah. Well, we were updating the schedule for movies that we're going to cover in the future, and Fateful Findings is officially on that.
Good.
So that'll be our second one.
Nice. I think objectively probably his best film. So might be in the minority on that one.
Gotcha. That's what I hear. I hear Double Down is just a precursor to he's getting his sea legs ready.
That's right.
For Fateful Findings. But before we get into this week's movie, we usually talk about what movies or what we've been watching in the past week. Alex, is there anything that you've been watching this past week that you want to talk about?
I'm a huge music fan, huge Beatles fan, so that Peter Jackson Beatles Get Back special has been nothing short of fantastic. Just being a fly on the wall in the studios while they're making Let It Be is pretty fantastic.
Yeah. We were watching a little bit over the weekend because we had a Christmas party, and yeah, that footage is kind of amazing that they actually have access to all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We actually, Anthony brought up a good question because while we were watching it, Yoko was there, and everyone gave Yoko a lot of guff about her involvement with the Beatles and everything, but she was literally just sitting there next to John, reading a magazine, not doing anything. And Anthony posed the question: is it more basically like toxic?
I think the question was, does she really have a stake in the claim that she broke up the Beatles, or is it all John's ego, and we're just blaming her for our deep-seated toxic masculinity?
Yeah, I think that's such a good question because I think maybe it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But
yeah,
from the documentary, it's hard to put the blame on Yoko there because again, it looks like it's so boring for her. She's literally just sitting there reading a magazine.
Yeah, I could see that there would be a situation that maybe like he gets pissed off at Paul and he like uses her as a sounding board, and then she's just like, "Yep, you're right. Yep, you're the best in there," and it just like fuels his ego to where it creates this kind of chasm.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Mark. I think it's a little column A, a little column B. There's actually a pretty, I don't know, lengthy is the right word, but in a 3-hour film, maybe it is, conversation that Paul has with the other two guys when John's not there about the whole Yoko situation. He says something like, in 50 years, this is going to be hilarious because, people are going to be like, oh, Yoko broke up the Beatles just by sitting on an amp or something like that, and it's, it's kind of weird to hear them talk about that while, majority of the world totally blames Yoko for that.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what about you? Have you watched anything this week?
I watched a few things. So I saw Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. And just, again...
On purpose?
I don't get it. I don't. And they're making another one. I don't know. It's better than the first one, but I don't know. That's not saying a whole lot.
In this one, Tom Hardy and the director were making the same movie?
Yeah,
How dare they?
for sure. Right. I think it's really just. I think these movies are really just carried on the back of Tom Hardy, which is fine. I like Tom Hardy enough, but I don't care enough about. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't care about Venom unless Spider-Man's in it. But
Sure.
It's just a ton of overacting. I love Woody Harrelson. I love Tom Hardy, and it's a very. Everything's over the top at all times. It's over the top, over the top, over the top. And yeah, I'm not here for it, unfortunately.
Okay. So Upgrade is still the best Venom movie.
Absolutely. I would go Upgrade, Carnage, Venom. And that's the symbiote trilogy right there. So I watched that. Then I started kicking off the holiday movie spree. Jingle All the Way, Santa Claus, Die Hard, Lord of the Rings. Those are my Christmas movies. And I know, Ant, you're chomping at the bit to tell me that Lord of the Rings is not a Christmas movie. I'm sure of it.
I don't know that the Hobbits celebrate Christmas, but I'll let you have it.
They don't at all. My wife and I got into this argument about it because we were watching and I said, these are some of my favorite Christmas movies. Like, there's zero mention of Christmas. There's no Life Day in it. There's nothing, and the reason why I put it as a Christmas movie, or those three as Christmas movies, is because during my high school years they would always come out at Christmas, so they were just fond Christmas memories during just 4 terrible years of my life.
I mean, look, Freeform or whatever they call it now, they use Christmas as an excuse to watch to show the Harry Potter movies. So, you do you.
That's a good point. All right, so I'm chalking that up as a win.
Yeah, but Dan, at least Harry Potter is kind of set in England where
Christmas exists.
Christmas exists. So it's got a little bit more of a footing than Lord of the Rings.
No, I mean, you're 100% right.
There's always one Christmas scene of like Ron getting like shitty hand-me-downs because his parents are poor. But yeah. All right, is that it?
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right. What about you, Mark? Anything?
The only thing I'm watching, and it'll probably be for the next 3 weeks here, is I'm watching Hawkeye. Okay. So, yeah, it's good so far, like all those shows have been. And, of course, I was at the party and was watching Let It Be with you guys, and probably going to watch a little more of it, maybe not all 6 or 8 hours or however long it is. But, yeah, it was really interesting just to have it on in the background there. And just those kind of documentaries, that kind of intimate footage is always very interesting, no matter what your history of the subject matter is, because you're seeing, the real people say the things that you've only heard either secondhand or through, retellings and articles and books. So I think just that voyeurism was really interesting to me while watching it.
Okay. As for me, I didn't watch shit this week because this was my last week in I have to clean up all the leaves purgatory. So every free moment I had this week was cleaning up leaves. So I didn't watch shit. Except for the few, what we watched the Beatles documentary and some Christmas movies that I've seen a bunch of times. I haven't watched Hawkeye because I haven't watched any of those Marvel shows since Falcon and Winter Soldier. Have they proved that he is or is not a white supremacist yet?
Jesus Christ. You're never going to let this die.
Well, they backtracked it because they've now shoehorned in that he also killed the mafia in New York, which consists of Italians and Russians. So
He's going after Russians. The white Russian guys.
I don't know.
He goes after evildoers.
Telling you, Endgame, all they show him is him killing minorities.
Well, you can't have him killing everybody in that movie. You got to move on to other characters, all right?
It's true. That's why Endgame's my least favorite, by the way. So they just kill minorities. Yeah, they just kill minorities. I'm like, God damn it.
Just uses the excuse of the snap to just take out his frustrations on the Japanese.
I feel like your ire should be directed at the Russo brothers more so than Jeremy Renner.
I said Hawkeye. I didn't say Jeremy Renner.
That's your own personal bias, Dan.
I'm just saying he didn't write the scripts.
I got no problems with Jeremy Renner. But that's all I saw, which was nothing. So we're going to take a quick break and pay some bills with some ads, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into this week's movie. This week was Mark's pick. And Mark, you put us through the ringer this week, so why don't you introduce this week's?
Yeah, so I chose a holiday classic. No, I'm kidding. No, Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. 2 reasons for choosing this. 1, I had to have other people watch this movie and give their opinion on it, just because I know how much fun I have completely ripping apart movies with these 2 gentlemen. So I was like, Christmas movie, let's put this in there so that I can get their views on it. And also, I want to see if for any reason my thoughts had changed on it, because I had watched it for my 25 Days of Christmas thing where I was watching 25 Christmas movies throughout December. The unfortunate thing is that there is not a whole lot of variety in Christmas movies as there are in horror movies. So after 2 years and like 50 movies or something rough like that, I was like, oh, these are basically all the same movie. So this was one of the ones that stood out because it was terrible. And it was both what I expected and a little bit of what I didn't expect. I think I gave it more of a pass 6 years ago just because the world was much different in 2015 than it is currently. I think I gave a pass for most of this movie when I really shouldn't have. I still rated it a 3 out of 10. I did hate it, but yeah, this is much more I think he makes only one good point in the entire movie, and it has nothing to do with Jesus or Christmas or anything. It's the point where he says that about changing how stories are told to younger generations. It's one of his first monologues in his whole monologue of a movie. And it's something that I believe and think about a lot, is that I always write, you think of some of the stories that were told in children's books and fairy tales back in like the 19th century or even the early 20th century, compared to how some of those same stories are told today. And he kind of has a little bit of a point there, but then he just has to throw Jesus all over it, just slap it all over his entire theory. So yeah, it was interesting going back to it, because there is an entire section, which I want to get your thoughts on, where out of nowhere, all of a sudden we have some kind of conspiracy theorist, probably listens to Alyx Jones' character, show up. And then there's no payoff. It's just the one scene. And then that's it. It's the oddest thing, and not even to mention what happens in the last 5 minutes.
All right. I think I might have to go back to look at this article and maybe scrub it from the internet, because I don't know if we want to be associated with giving Kirk Cameron a pass. But Alyx, I'm going to go to you. What are your thoughts? Where are you coming from going into this, and where are you coming from going out of it? Because I'd love to know.
Well, this is my first Liberty University film.
Yeah.
My first
As
Kirk
is
Cameron.
ours.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And my first forget that body swap movie in the 80s that he did with Vice Versa. Anyway, yeah, I think this is my first one since then. First Kirk Cameron vehicle since then. And all I heard was just like the rumors. Super Jesus-y, he's really into religion and saving people, which he has a lot in common with Neil Breen there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just his delivery in this, I don't know why I always have Neil Breen on the mind. Maybe because he's that kind of dude, but his delivery was just so Neil Breenish in this. Talking about people losing their touch with Christmas, through Christ and all that stuff. It's just fantastic. I love the QAnon section in this. That's really nice. It's I thought I saw those guys in 4 hours at the Capitol, or whatever that was called, HBO documentary. No, but it's very. I expected him to be a little bit more animated, a little bit crazier with the message, but he just kind of sits in the car with his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Which I was confused. Like, why is this the first? It seems like his brother-in-law and his sister have been together for a bit. And this is like the first time he has a crisis of Christmas, I guess. They're sitting in the car, and I thought he was going to be like, no, dude, you got to blah, blah, blah. But he just lets him talk. But Kirk Cameron has like this smug look on his face, like, yep, I got an answer for this. He's got them all loaded up. He's like, yep, I got an answer for that too. And then I think that's probably my favorite part, is just the Kirk Cameron's. He's very patient. Kirk Cameron is. He's very patient with his brother-in-law, and then he's just like, "No, dude." And then, like, immediately is fire and brimstone. He's like, "Let's go back. Let me tell you this story." And he's like, "You got to remember all this suffering and stuff." And I'm like, "I thought this was a Christmas movie." But if he wants to go Old Testament with it, then that's cool too, I guess.
Right. Yeah. He was very patient with his brother-in-law, who just needed to ad lib so they could fill an hour and 15 minutes to get to that dance sequence.
Yep.
Oh my God. Rough.
Dan, what about you? What are you thinking about this?
I feel like Kirk Cameron should be cast as Mr. Fantastic, because he does a ton of stretching in this movie.
Oh, when did you write that?
I was like, Dan, how long have you been planning that?
About 40 minutes into the movie.
Okay.
Right when he talks about the Christmas trees. Right?
Yes.
He's like, let me take you back to fucking
That's the worst
Genesis, bro. Boom, gotcha. Like a whole like Alyx was saying, he had an answer for everything, and he's so full of shit because the brother-in-law is 100% correct that pagans would use the fir trees in their winter solstice. But but God gave us winter solstice when he decided that how the earth would revolve around the sun. All right, man, cool. I guess we're going there. We're discounting science here. So that's where we're at. But yeah, there's trees in Genesis with Adam and Eve. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? You're really bending over backwards to try to disprove this stuff. At first, I got a little worried because it opens up with him posturing in front of the fireplace. Like, I love Christmas. I love the lights. I love hot chocolate. I love the presents. Fuck, I like that stuff too. I think Kirk Cameron and I have some stuff in common, and that's kind of nerve-wracking. But then it quickly devolves because he is insufferable in this movie.
That's the perfect word for
You're right, because he's so smug and he's Mr. Know-It-all. When his grasp of the Bible is so loose. It's so loose where even when he's talking about how the three wise men, they bring the frankincense, the myrrh, and the gold. It's like that's for a burial. It's not. Those were expensive gifts at the time. That was to pay homage to the quote unquote new king. I don't know if there's anyone here who's super religious. I'm not trying to dump on religion or anything. These are tenuous strings that he's weaving. Again, it's really just a gotcha kind of thing. Like, oh, you think you got me here, but I can disprove everything with quote unquote facts from the Bible. And then at the last part of the movie, I turned off immediately. Once it got into the dance choreography, I said, yeah, I tapped out.
Oh, you didn't get to the gag reel?
No, there's a gag reel?
There's a gag reel. There's another couple Marvel after the credit scenes. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I tapped out. I'm so happy.
I also love in the beginning where Kirk Cameron's sitting there and he's introducing. He's like, I gotta admit, I love. I even love cookies. And it's like, whoa, slow down, guy. You're a little
so
too
brave.
crazy here. Little crazy.
It's so brave. I got to admit it.
He loves hot chocolate too. There ain't a goddamn drop of hot chocolate in that mug.
Now, which one? This is gonna be. I'm gonna mess this up. But which one of these dialogues is better? I love Christmas, or I love Sunday walks with babies from Skyscraper.
Sunday walks in the park and little babies. Oh.
Yeah, which one of those is better?
Yeah, I gotta go with Anna Nicole on this one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
R.I.P.
I just thought of that one just now because it reminded me of that. But god damn, man, I thought this was gonna be a legit movie, not him again posturing for 80 minutes about the Bible.
This is a movie in the loosest sense of the term. We may have picked the wrong movie here because it's not really a movie. But
very strange. 80 minutes. 80 minutes, barely a movie. It's you're expecting a movie, you get an air beating for 80 minutes about how you're not keeping a focused eye on what Christmas is all about.
It really shows you something when Candace Cameron does not show up in this movie.
Even his wife said no thanks to this one too.
Yeah.
Chelsea Noble's like, fuck no. I'm not coming out of retirement for this piece of shit.
And the third Cameron sibling was like, sure, on camera? I get to actually be on camera?
Oh, yeah. She didn't change her face once. She's got that same sour face throughout the entire runtime.
It's very distracting. Very distracting.
Because there's that one scene when Effie comes in.
Expressionless. Yeah.
When he comes back into the party and she's like coming towards him and it's in slow motion because it's only 109 minutes. It's only an hour and 9 minutes long. And she's just got that like one crooked eye coming towards him. And it's like, why are we looking at this woman for 40 seconds in slow-mo? We're not even he's not even talking to, I mean, like Dan said, not necessarily sure if anybody's religious on this podcast, but he's talking specifically to Christians that read the Bible as has been read for however long the Bible has been written. He's just spouting his prosperity theology over it, saying, no, it's good. It's good to be materialistic. You're reading it wrong. Don't help the poor.
Right. Oh my God.
Eat ham. He gets so into ham. He mentions ham like 9 times at the end.
There's a good bit of youth pastor energy in this movie.
Ooh, yeah.
The only thing that's missing is making like pop culture references in his story.
Turning his chair backwards and sitting on it, rolling up his sleeves.
Hey, let me vibe with you guys for a little bit.
But like having an answer for everything. That's, that was the vibe I got from that. But the whole all of a sudden, all right, here's the Angels We Have Heard on High, the dubstep version.
Oh, God.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was just, it felt like, and you'll probably mention it later, but the guy that played the brother-in-law was actually the director.
Yep.
So it just felt like these families just got together in a Christmas party and was like, why don't we just film a movie?
That's exactly what it seems like. Also, it just looks like the most terrible party of all.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Christmas party like this. Yeah, for sure.
Alex, you have no love for the God Squad?
Maybe I need to be saved.
I need to reevaluate my life if I wind up at a Christmas party with Kirk Cameron. It's like, man, I'm running into the wrong circles. But although, DeAndre, he wasn't a offensive stereotype at all.
Nope.
No, not at all.
Especially if you watch the post-credits sequence.
Yeah.
I think I might have fast-forwarded the gag reel.
No, there's a post-credits sequence where there's some beatboxing and rapping.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. I missed
where
that part.
The whole end of it is just him like praising Kirk Cameron, the conspiracy theory guy.
Jeez. Yeah, I thought when we watched Left Behind, because this isn't our first Kirk Cameron movie we've ever covered. We watched Left Behind. I thought it wasn't going to get worse, but this movie gets rid of the pretense of having a narrative. Mm-hmm. So Left Behind actually had at least a story, as much as that also had Kirk Cameron saying Jews with a hard R.
Yeah.
This actually did not say the word Jews at all, and I was surprised. But I think that they were making that connection when they said pagans and druids. I think that's what they're referencing.
Yeah, his whole monologue in the beginning, like, you're going to tell me that druids made hot chocolate? I don't think hot chocolate's really the issue here, my man.
I think exactly what he said was, what's next? They're going to tell us that hot chocolate is bad for us? That it was invented by the druids?
It could have been. I don't know. It's not that great of an invention. You put chocolate in water or milk. That's the end. That's how it's made. Yeah, it's just it's such propaganda. And it's however you decide to celebrate the holiday, whatever holiday it is. And it's obviously pointing to where, I can't say Merry Christmas to anybody if I go. No one's stopping you from saying Merry Christmas, guy. If you want to go say Merry Christmas to someone, say it. That person might not say it back, but there is no one on earth that is stopping you from doing it, all right? So your message is completely wrong here. But I get what he's going for.
The people at DeAndre's work seem to have a problem with us, though.
They do. True. And Crazy Shirt Fridays.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
What are they next? They're going to take away Thursdays? What?
Why do they always go to the next unbelievable length? They could take away Thursdays too? It's like, what? No. It's just fucking t-shirts. No, we're not doing crazy shirts.
It always reminds me of somebody had always joked is like the best way to end a conversation with a conspiracy theorist is when they bring up something, just say something even crazier.
It's out's conspiracy theory, the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. Oh, the moon landing was fake. Pfft, you believe in the moon.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's just a sad state of affairs.
Yeah. And take away all that other stuff and just to Kirk Cameron's performance. This is a guy that had a sitcom revolving around him for 168 episodes. He's terrible. He can't even sell his own propaganda in the beginning.
He was so natural in that show too.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go to the break, do you think Kirk Cameron was trying to lay this kind of Jesus talk on Leonardo DiCaprio?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He got that one.
And ABC.
He got that one girl fired off of Growing Pains. Yeah. She posed for Playboy. Yeah.
No one ever talks about it. He had a best friend named Boner. I mean, is this just him atoning for or atoning for his sins?
Yeah.
In this Liberty University that he's got me enrolled in now?
Is that how? Oh, please don't tell me that's how it works. Are we indoctrinated?
I mean, did you believe it? Did you sign up?
I don't know. I'm drinking hot chocolate right now.
Did you give money to Jerry Falwell Jr.? I don't know.
I'm afraid that I drank the Kool-Aid. He mentions that a couple times in the movie. You drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
The Druid Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid that says that Jesus feels like you shouldn't you should help the poor. That was basically. You dumb bastard! How could you fall for that? Hook, line, and sinker.
Ridiculous.
Where does he say in the Bible to help the poor? It's ridiculous.
Let me just drop this knowledge on you about how the swaddling cloth is a reference to what he would later be buried in.
Right,
Bro.
Exactly. What was the mic budget? Because he was just dropping them like crazy throughout this entire movie. So all he's doing in that vehicle is just dropping mics. They had to get out of it. It's full of mics.
I loved where the stepbrother would mock Kirk Cameron, and then Cameron would just hit him with the Jesus roundhouse. Bam, there it is. And then and then the brother-in-law would have that moment of like, well, I never realized this. Oh my goodness. Well, how about Christmas trees, huh, Mr. Smarty Pants? Jesus that one in. And then it was like, wait, so like, are you buying into it or are you not buying into it?
It was a situation where they had no money, so the director posed as his brother-in-law, and they shot for 2 days, and they knew that they had to get like 70 minutes out of that one scene. Is basically what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you could tell. Like as soon as we got into the car, I was like, I'll bet that this guy's the director, because that's it was like two people in a car, and this guy's just vamping. He's just saying the same things over and over again. It's like he has like a 30 seconds where he's just talking about how this is a hijacking, and he just rephrases it. Hijacking at Christmas. Jacked. Like carjacking. This is the carjacking of Christmas.
Handjacking. He says
handjacking.
handjacking.
He says handjacking, yeah.
How does he not realize what that sounds like? Yeah.
It's like, well, we've got this movie to exactly feature length, even with all the bloopers.
We only have a certain amount of time to shoot and screw if it rains.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It just all of a sudden starts raining in the middle of that scene, which couldn't have been on purpose.
It's for ambiance.
God crying. Not me again. Come on. Move on.
You're ruining everything.
Part of me thinks that this movie would have been more easily dismissed and not mocked if it was just Kirk Cameron sitting in that chair for an hour and 10 minutes.
Right.
Just talking about the movie.
Yeah.
Rather than the actual scenes that go on in this. And St. Nicholas is basically an MMA fighter, apparently.
He smites him on the cheek. Like, holy shit. Like, he killed someone? Like, he struck them.
Kicked so much ass.
The real story is just like an old man slapping somebody in the face.
He DJ Jazzy Jeff the guy out of the Nassim meeting. He eated him.
Okay, that's Saint Nick versus Mel Gibson's Fat Man. Who wins in a fight?
I haven't seen Fat Man, but I feel like
you're not going to vote against Mel Gibson. There,
I was going to say, I feel like Mel Gibson is much angrier, so probably Mel Gibson.
Yeah, what religion is the other one? Was he was Christian, right?
He was Christian, yeah.
I don't know. Then he's not. It's not his kryptonite. It's not Mel Gibson's kryptonite. So
what was and then the stable girl or his helper has this like weird like one-liner. He's like, "Oh, you glad you got that out of your system?"
Oh yeah, it's like coming from central casting.
Right. Do you think that was ever uttered? Like that phrase, "out of your system," was that ever uttered in like the before times?
Oh, like 2019.
Oh, Dan, I'm surprised you watched that entire scene and didn't mention that Lord of the Rings was mentioned in this Christmas movie.
Oh, that's a good point. He does.
Right.
He's like,
Right.
It's more Lord of the Rings. Like, wouldn't that be like sacrilegious?
Yes.
Right? Because that's wizards and demons. That's everything Kirk Cameron despises.
That is the moment he hits full youth pastor as he makes the cultural reference of the time to connect all of it.
But of course, it's 15 years afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, I got this hip reference. Hey,
striking while the iron's hot.
Have you heard of this cool thing called beatboxing?
And then it's like some bad rap that's always like 80s style, like, my name is Kirk and I'm here to say, I
don't know if you actually watched it, but you just perfectly described the post-credit sequence.
So, Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas from 2014 was directed by Darren Doan, who is the director of music videos for Pennywise, Blink-182 Pre-Anima of the State, MXPX, and Jason Mraz. So this guy
Right.
kind of gave up the punk.
Yeah.
Stars: Kirk Cameron, Darren Doan, Bridget Cameron, Ben Kientz, David Shannon, and Raffi Henley. Has an IMDb score of 1.4 and a Rotten Tomato score of 0%. This is the lowest rated film on Letterboxd with a 0.8
Wow.
stars out of 5.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is I queued this up the other day on Amazon, and it has 4.5 stars, 910 reviews.
God damn.
Wow.
And I was looking at that, I'm like, that can't be right. And then I looked at
Yeah.
IMDb, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to guarantee about 90% of those 5-star ratings on this movie are absolutely jokes.
Yeah, I think he put I think when this movie first got released, it obviously tanked on Rotten Tomatoes, and like he went on his Facebook page and he told people to go on Rotten Tomatoes and tell them that you can't tell us which movies we want to watch, so just score it high or something like that.
It backfired immensely, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because then people started
always
raising it up, and then like other people were like, "Well, fuck that! This movie sucks." So we're just gonna bomb that too. It has a budget of $500,000 and made $2.78 million in box office. So it's a hit, I guess. I mean, I know a lot of these movies, they just wind up like churches will like buy out entire theaters and to give it to the congregation.
That makes sense.
That's how these movies get money.
Is it a coincidence that this movie made some money and the Liberty college football team improved right after this?
Hopefully. Hopefully those kids get a shot this year.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, I did some research regarding Liberty University and this movie and prosperity theology, because Maggie Mae Fish is a YouTube movie reviewer. She covered this. Really good video. It's about a half hour, and she goes into kind of what Liberty University is. And apparently, like, Jerry Falwell Jr. Is basically turning it into like a Ponzi scheme. Basically, he's taking all that money and just buying up real estate and then selling it back to the school, or vice versa. He seems like a scumbag, and his dad was a scumbag, so like he's even worse in a way.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. So prosperity theology, sometimes referred to as prosperity gospel, the health and wealth gospel, gospel of success, or seed faith, is a religious belief amongst some Protestant Christians that financial blessing and physical well-being are always the will of God for them, and that faith, positive speech, and donations to religious causes will increase one's material wealth. So basically, if you're wealthy, it's because it's God's will, so you shouldn't feel bad for it. That's basically what prosperity theology is. So like Joel Osteen is a big proponent of that, and that's why he didn't let the poors into his church during Katrina.
What a scumbag.
Well, he's also hiding all that money behind the toilets. So
that's right. Yeah, that came
What a great
out
story. Yeah, that's awesome.
Couldn't let the poors find that.
That's what you want out of your pastors too.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's got money hitting the walls. Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, it's just if again, I'm not trying to dump on religion here. If you believe it, great. If you don't, great.
I think there is a difference between being religious and practicing a faith, and then this craven idea of religion that has obviously been co-opted into these ideas of just lining your pockets with money, you know?
If God is real or Jesus was real, I promise you, people out there, these guys are not going to see them. They are not. They're just not. That's not. It's so loosely based on what they preach.
Yeah.
It's a farce.
Yeah.
I don't know. Joel Osteen's like, I could either buy my way into heaven or one of those new Corvettes. Those look pretty sweet.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because that, like, when we first came over from England and colonized the eastern shores, that's what they did, man. It's like you had to buy your way into heaven, and that was how they essentially made, like, the church made their money. It's like, yeah, here's like an IOU to getting into heaven. Like, you're set. Like, that's what these guys think they're doing, I guess, or I think they know fully well that they're just scamming people, and they're cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, they sleep at night on a giant pile of money. That's how they get to sleep.
I sleep on IOUs.
Yeah.
That's what I sleep on. Pretty comfy.
You guys want to get into the plot of whatever it is? Dan, what do you got for us this week?
I want to give a quick shout out to our good friends from Geek Vibes Nation, Tia and Brittany, and I'm asking you to go check out podcast Coffee Break. Tia and Brittany get together and discuss movies, comic books, television. They're great people. Brittany streams Itty Bitty Brit. She streams horror games. She streams action games, RPG games. She's awesome, a lot of fun. Tia is also the head writer for Geek Vibes Nation. You could follow her at TC_Stark on Twitter. He is at Itty Bitty Brit on Twitter. So please go check them out. They're on YouTube. They're on Geek Vibes Nation. So give them a follow.
Okay, great. And we're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to some messages from friends of the podcast. And we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Ken M.
Padawan J.
Coach Duffy. From the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Every week, the ODPH is talking sports, movies, TV, comics, and more. It's always a parlay of topics on each episode. You can find the ODPH on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and wherever you find great podcasts, such as the one you're listening to right now. Don't forget to check out OchoDuroParlayHour.com, where you can find the links to all of the ODPH social media accounts, links to the bands whose music you hear each week on the show, hashtag 607 podcast info, and parlay points, our companion blog section of the show. Thanks for listening to the ODPH. Now get back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Welcome, travelers. Seems like you're looking for a story. Well, I got one for you. It involves adventure, friendship, and all sorts of...
Earl, why don't you tell him about that time I stole that big-ass melon?
Yeah, I was going for more...
Or you could tell him about the time I kicked her ass, Earl.
I wouldn't ever tell him.
Do I need to get my ref gear on?
Okay, everyone, shut up. Now come with me as I tell you a story from afar. Hey everybody, my name's David. I'm the DM for From Afar Podcast. From Afar Podcast is all about four friends separated by distance, but brought together by adventure. Hope you all stop by and give us a listen. Thanks.
And welcome back. Now it's time to get into the plot for Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. We open on a title card for Liberty University, training champions of Christ since 1971. We know immediately we're in for 90 minutes of garbage.
Not that long of a time to be training people, honestly. I feel like, isn't that something that should have been around for a much longer time?
I mean, Jerry Falwell is the founder of it, so he had to do it when he had his money.
Good point.
Yeah, we think of Kirk Cameron talking to the camera about all things he loves about Christmas. He loves fire, the trees, the decorations, the hymns, and the hot chocolate.
And he doesn't care who knows about it.
And how Christmas is a time for people to be kinder and help one another. So far, so good. We really can't argue with any of this.
I wanted to add, and that cup he is holding is 100% empty.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the second shot of the film, we get Kirk telling us that there are some people that don't want people to celebrate Christmas. There's one group that is telling Christians that you could celebrate however you want, just not so loud, as he says. These people I'll refer to as imaginary. And then another group, Christians themselves, that says all the ways that they celebrate Christmas is all wrong.
Yeah, the first part of his two statements here sounds like just a tweet. Like
it sounds like what Kirk would say about gay people. You're allowed to be whatever you want. Just don't throw it in my face.
Yeah, just don't be loud about it.
Do you really need a parade? Need a whole month about it?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Do you really need to get married and show your love for your life partner in a ceremony? God, come on, guys.
You give them an inch, right?
And they always want 9. What?
And then he says, what's next? They're going to tell us that hot chocolate is bad for us. That was invented by the Druids, which sounds bad, but at least he laid off the Jews for a moment.
Or did he?
Oh, did he? Yeah.
I mean, I guess read between the lines. That's probably exactly what he's talking about.
And to be honest, hot chocolate's not great for you if you think about it.
It's like it's like, what are they going to say? Like, I'm pretty sure that there is probably a report that says, yeah, drinking just melted chocolate in a mug is probably not the best health choice.
Right. So, I mean, sorry to put a damper on your holiday spirit.
Like he goes to his doctor and he's like, well, how much hot chocolate are you drinking in a week? He says like gallons. He's like, stop doing that. You can't tell me how to celebrate Christmas.
My whole pantry is stocked with nothing but hot chocolate, doctor.
Just Swiss Miss after Swiss Miss.
He suggests maybe the modern Christians lost sight of the message, or maybe they're listening to the wrong people. The classic, it's the children who are wrong mentality. Or maybe Santa is on the team, he says, and I don't quite understand what that means.
What team?
The neighbors. You know which ones.
And then we cut to some ancient shepherd-looking dude slow-mo walking around with a walking stick, which is completely out of context. It comes up later, but we have no fucking clue what's going on right now. And as Kirk Cameron talks about how recently Bible stories have gotten their balls cut off, making the stories we tell children lame as fuck, in so many words. Then we cut to an animated credit sequence with ska Christmas music. So if Christian propaganda wasn't bad enough, we now have to deal with skanking.
Yep. Still waiting for the fourth wave.
And then we cut to back into now at a party at Kirk Cameron's sister's house. No, not that sister. Candace wisely was unavailable for this film, apparently. Kirk talks to his sister, commenting on how great the Santa at the party is, which is baffling because the guy doesn't even have a real beard. And his sister just says it's their deadbeat uncle who needed a job. In voiceover, Kirk talks about the importance of being able to write your own stories and the opportunity to show yourself off as a hero when you get to tell your own.
That's from the Bible.
Yeah. And he mentions that there are a lot of different reasons why someone might not be into Christmas. Financial struggles, loss, relationship troubles, etc. But that doesn't matter because we're going to talk about a guy that's just plain old humbug. And that's Kirk's brother-in-law, Christian. Christian apparently hates children having fun, attending parties out of obligation, and Christmas decorations because of the possibility of satanic messaging.
Sorry.
See, I can understand hating a Christmas party because of children. That I completely get that.
Sure.
It's very overwhelming, I'm sure of it. And
Like-
sometimes there is obligation, you know? It's like, God damn it, like, I have to go to this person's house. I just want to hang at my house. I just want to hang out. I get
Look,
it.
In a normal movie that is not written by Kirk Cameron in some sense, Christian's the hero, but he's not in this. he's the antagonist in this movie.
Kirk
Christian
Cameron
talks about like all the things that Christians are supposed to
Yes.
live up to. In this particular scene, he looks like he literally hates those children, but it winds up being because he hates materialism and this movie is basically Charlie Brown's Christmas. If Charlie Brown was just like, fuck it, let's just get more stuff.
Yeah.
is what this all about.
Kirk Cameron's entire thesis is shut down the minute Christian mentions how many children could we have fed with all the stuff that we bought. You're done.
Yep.
Game over. You lose, Kirk Cameron, because he's 100% right.
Sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, absolutely. It's like yeah.
Get this. I just made this connection. In the beginning monologue, Kirk Cameron talks about how during the Christmas season, everybody gives, right? Donations skyrocket. And then he tells them that it's okay to buy these things for yourself. You just contradicted yourself, my man.
Mhm.
Yep.
Also, this looks like a pretty big and nice house. So obviously,
Got two giant fridges.
Yeah, two giant fridges. Obviously, Christian and his wife, they worked themselves up to afford this kind of thing, and now Christian just hates himself for it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's materialism and all this bullshit. Well, don't live in that big house. Don't have all those kids. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, you enjoyed it for at least several years.
Right.
Why now?
And that blew my mind that it's his house and he's throwing this giant party.
Yep.
Yeah, he
could've
loved that house
scaled
until
it
the
back.
tax abatement went away.
Yes, good point.
Christian apparently hates children having fun, and he also hates toys and commercialization of the holiday. And Christian has a point. And also, they bring up elf worship as the biggest problem of Christmas, apparently.
It just means the movie Elf.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
It's like it's just okay.
It's an okay movie. It's just okay, guys. Why are we obsessed?
It's like Favreau's third best film.
Right behind Chef.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good movie.
Great movie.
Christian's work friend DeAndre comes by to talk about how their corporate bosses are taking Crazy Shirt Friday from them and how it's just And it's just how it starts before they take everything away from them. I feel like Kevin Hart turned down this role.
Dan and Ant. Am I the only one that thought of Dan Flashes in this scene?
It's the patterns. They're taking away the patterns.
This shirt is $1,200 out the door.
Out the door. It cracked me up that he thought that they were going to take away Thursdays. That's a working day. They were obviously not going to take away a day where you work.
Well, they have something special on Thursdays, like Pizza Thursday.
Who knows? For these guys, it just seems like they're batshit crazy. So
yeah,
I don't know why.
Crazy Shirt Friday.
Yeah, that's how they get
the 1 ounce of joy they have in their lives. I guess the Crazy Shirt Friday.
I mean, it is. That's always how these corporate places, choose not to give you more money is by like these little things like Pizza Party Fridays and Crazy Shirt Fridays, just kind of like that superficial morale boost instead of just like pay me more.
Yeah,
and
like
the ping pong table. We got you guys. Snacks in the kitchen, guys.
And apparently Andre is so hard to shop for that all his wife buys him his crazy shirts for his Crazy Shirt Friday.
Oh yeah.
So upset. Yeah, Initech has that Hawaiian Shirt Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing relieves stress more, right, guys?
Yeah. Dan Flashes is probably staying in business because of Crazy Shirt Friday. They'll have something to say about that. And then he goes on for about a minute without us hearing the audio because Christian doesn't care about what the assumed only minority character that has any lines has to say. So then Kirk goes to say what's up to Christian, but Christian amps straight to his car and is just sitting there in silence. It's just, exactly the last thing someone does before he just leaves his life and just goes to live somewhere else.
He's just. I thought you were gonna go darker. I thought he was just gonna off himself.
I mean, yeah, that too. But he was probably just contemplating, just like
that would be called Saving Christian. Can we get there? It's like a time travel.
Yeah. Just got to stop him from blowing his brains out during the party.
It's still produced by Liberty, but it's about suicide. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they pull like a Christmas Carol thing here with Christian, right? Or like It's a Wonderful Life thing, right? Sure. Instead of having Kirk Cameron just like come at us with these pseudo facts.
Because they couldn't film that version of the movie for 40 minutes in the car.
Yeah.
I don't know how this movie costs $500,000. Someone's got deep pockets on that set.
Someone's got some splaining to do.
It didn't. That version of the movie doesn't allow Kirk Cameron to talk for 40 minutes about something he heard on a podcast the other day.
But he could be the hero still. He could be the angel.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't seem like there was a lot of effort going into the script, so you made it better in 3 seconds.
3 seconds, right? Yeah.
Go ahead. I think if this film is made for $250K, then that dance scene is only 2 minutes long, not 6.
So then we really miss out. We lose on that.
You got to pay all You got to pay all God Squad's dancers.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think they work on? Charity? Jeez.
They're scale plus 10.
I think it would have been cooler. That's definitely the wrong word. It wouldn't have been more interesting because this isn't an interesting thing at all. I guess it would have made more sense in that way where
it would have showed effort. I think is what you're going for.
Yeah, that's
that makes that's better. Yeah, because
what's this movie lacking? Is it the acting? Is it the soundtrack? The scenes? Is it not well edited? No effort. There was no effort in this.
Actual, honest to God effort.
Yeah, it's surprising they cut away from the car to go into these like little vignettes. You just think it would be Kirk and Christian talking for all that time, but they actually put a guy in some costumes and pretended it was like the 12th century or whatever.
You know what made it interesting is if Kirk was telling Christian the story, but also like in the scene with like the shepherd and like all
right.
It'll at least make it a little bit dynamic,
right? Instead of just like imagine you being there, like okay, imagine you're there, and then they show them there, like Cameron is just pointing out like who's this guy? Like you don't know who Saint Nick is, Christian? Come on, man.
Make it a little bit more interactive. two jackasses sitting in a car because they're sad about Christmas.
Right. Why can't you just put yourselves into those scenes? It's so easy.
Because second unit shot everything else with non-union actors
and no hot chocolate.
No hot chocolate. I wonder if that, like, Kirk Cameron's just like, there has to be hot chocolate in every scene.
$50,000 hot chocolate budget.
Yeah, it's just that's what he paid the actors in hot chocolate.
Not even like made, just some packets.
Right. Yeah, it's the
Thanks,
pre-made
Kirk.
stuff with the stale marshmallows in it.
Thanks.
He gave them hot chocolate, and he'll put in a good word with Jesus.
Right. I'll pray for you guys. Don't worry, I got you.
So they.
The thought of somebody just being like, "All right, I'll pray for you," and I just give me money, give me something other than your prayer. That doesn't do shit. Sorry, that just hit a weird nerve.
It's the human fund.
So then Kirk goes to say, "What's up to Christian?" I'm Christian. Sam's great. Maybe Christian is just an introvert and needs a goddamn break every so often. So Kirk joins him in the car, and Christian goes into why he's having a meltdown. He hates seeing bratty children around Christmas, and everybody just wants stuff. Christian looks at the commercialization and the materialism and feels like this is not what God wants. Christian is played by the director of Darren Down, by the way, which explains why it sounds like he's ad-libbing his dialogue. Christian says it's all wrong, but Kirk says, no, you're all wrong. There's so much tension in the music here that it feels like Kirk is about to pull a gun on Christian, but he does not.
I think Christian mentions that Jesus wasn't even born in December.
Yeah.
And so he goes on his little diatribe, and at the end, oh man, the look on Kirk Cameron's face, like, you think you're right? Huh, well, let me fill you in on something, sir. He's like,
so punchable.
Everything. Yeah. Oh, super punchable. It's like that scene in True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bill Paxton. He just elbows Bill Paxton in the face. I wanted Christian to do that to Kirk Cameron, but he's like, yeah, everything you just said there, wrong, 100% wrong. Yeah, like, but most people do, like most theologians do say that he wasn't born in December. He was probably born in like April. So. Yeah. And I like how they play it off. It's like, well, Wikipedia. Look it up, man. Wikipedia. Okay. I see what you're going for. Obviously, the loosest of fact based on the internet.
Yeah.
But there are actual articles that are not from Wikipedia that do show that they theorize. Yeah, he was probably born more in the earlier part of the year.
Yeah. Kirk tells him that he drank the Kool-Aid, took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. He's listening to the wrong people, and he's ruining the party for everyone. And Christian tosses the gauntlet. He says, tell me how this party and everything about modern Christmas pays tribute to Jesus. So Kirk says, okay, let's start with the nativity scene. And he goes piece by piece, starting with a feeding trough. And he says something vaguely racist when he says, let's move beyond the cute and traditional, where everything is safe and soft, where everyone has white skin and clean clothes.
Yeah.
Well,
that was hilarious.
Technically, like he would be somewhat right there. No, like they're Middle Eastern. They're not going to be white people.
Yeah.
So I actually I almost spit my drink out when he said, there's no white people. Holy shit, he's admitting it.
Nope.
Is that the second I think you can leave reference in this?
Oh my god.
If it is, that was not intentional.
He then goes on to talk about the massacre of the innocents, the aspect of the nativity story from the Gospel of Matthew in which Herod orders the murder of all male children in Bethlehem 2 years or younger, which most historians believe is a myth. He then talks at length about the swaddling clothes of all things, as if there's enough time in an 80-minute movie to talk about some orphan's dirty rags. Makes the connection of the swaddling cloth with the burial cloths from Jesus' burial. So we have Chekhov's swaddling clothes. Which is a joke I wrote, and then I went back and watched the Maggie May Fish episode video, and she made the same exact reference, so got to point that out. The point of this, I have no fucking clue, but Christian, I guess, gets it.
I think he just confuses Christian into getting it, because
he's good.
To me,
Yeah,
there's really no. I didn't understand from what Christian's original point was to where Kirk Cameron kind of wrapped it up. The birth, obviously, all right. So we say that it's the birth of Christ, right? But he's like, no, it's like the death of Christ. So what are you talking about with the clothing and the death? I don't understand how that ties into Christmas. We're talking about the birth of Jesus, not the death of Jesus, right? So,
yeah.
Okay, even if you wanted to say the birth and the death, fine. The clothing has nothing to do with it. There's zero reason for that to be mentioned at all when tying it into Christmas.
Yeah. I think so. I think Kirk does a good job of arguing his point. I'll give him that. His point is meaningless.
Yes.
He's just able to argue it. And
He's able to argue every point, whether or not it's right or wrong. That's a completely different story, I think.
Yeah, it's who can argue their point louder and faster is essentially the. It's not uncommon on the internet to find people that do that. But
again, I think it's really one of those people who Kirk Cameron is very good at sounding like he knows what he's talking about with the Bible.
Yeah.
So to someone who doesn't, he mentioned a name. He said like Deuteronomy. I don't know what Deuteronomy is, so he must know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
He must know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I've fallen for that several times, but not just with like the Bible or anything like that, but just like money. Someone like, oh yeah, like stocks and dips and peaks and valleys. Like, oh shit, this guy knows what he's talking about.
You gotta let your money work for you, bruh.
Exactly.
Passive income.
He's
gotta get that in on that NFTs.
Take my money.
I'm starting to really like this idea that this film is basically an internet argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fucking hilarious now. This is the internet, the Christmas movie.
Yeah, it really is.
An internet argument in a car on Christmas. Great.
Which would explain the QAnon segment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
That's about to come up because we then cut back into the party where DeAndre is talking to another guy at the party who then talks about every single conspiracy theory he could come up with in a pre-QAnon world. And his voice changes, maybe? And
yes.
I have no idea if this is parody or not because
I don't know if it's a joke or not at all.
Yeah, because irony is not coming through in this movie.
Mm-mm.
So we come back to Christian and Kirk. Christian needs to know about Christmas trees because he's thinking it's paganism because the Druids worship trees, which they did. Kirk says Christmas trees come from Genesis, specifically the story of Adam and Eve. He also says that God put trees in his house after he created the universe. He also explains away the decision to celebrate Jesus' birthday in the winter, but also says even if it was because of the winter solstice, who made the solstice but God?
Oh yeah.
It's so convenient.
Yeah. It's you can literally just explain anything away that,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why is it this way? Because of God. Why is this? Because of God. Like, it's a poor man's excuse.
Yep.
Like, I can't explain it, so it must be God.
A wizard did it.
Right.
Gandalf did
it. That would. I mean, he does bring up Lord of the Rings. So was it the Ishtari?
And in the beginning of Fellowship, Gandalf does show up with a bunch of fireworks, aka gifts from his sack.
Yeah. This guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
And a dragon. I don't know if that's Christmassy.
Well, we could ask Kirk Cameron to explain the dragons in the Bible.
I mean, I'm sure he could figure out a way to do it. You give him a little bit of time. He'll be like the Christian version of Batman. If you give him enough prep time, he'll destroy any argument you have.
Who wins in a fight, Batman with prep time or Kirk Cameron with prep time?
Are they discussing the Bible?
I mean, Kirk has Jesus on his side, and Batman has no parents. So
Batman has Superman on his side, who is like Jesus. Right?
Also, which Batman?
Yeah, which Batman? Oh, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the Michael Keaton one doesn't believe in Jesus.
And that takes away Jesus' power, right? He's like Freddy Krueger. If you don't believe in him, he's got no power.
So Jesus has to use Kirk Cameron to regain the power, a la Freddy versus Jason.
Right.
So Kirk Cameron is Jesus's I guess not deity. Avatar, yes.
Kirk Cameron shrinking away because nobody believes in him is probably one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. And I would love to see that in the next Liberty.
Yeah, is there an obstacle so big that even Kirk Cameron can't get out of it?
I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, because would Jesus do that to Kirk Cameron?
No.
No. So, but then how can he suffer, or like how can he show his, I guess, his humility? Yeah, that's a paradox, right?
Kirk
Cameron paradox.
Robot head explodes.
Checkmate, Kirk.
You got him.
So Kirk then tells us that every Christmas tree is a symbol of Jesus hanging on the cross, which is a morbid as fuck in a Christmas tree a lot.
Definitely not.
Christian believes this shit, but then he comes up with what he believes is the trump card: Santa Claus. Can
I go back quickly to the tree real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just the idea of having a wooden cross in a tree lot, if you believe like all trees are living, that they get to see a dead version of themselves hanging inside the lot all day.
That's me in a corner.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
He literally does that in the beginning of the movie, Kirk Cameron.
Oh yeah, he does.
I remember. I don't know if you guys had to suffer through CCD or like Sunday school or whatever. Yeah, I'm so sorry that you also had to suffer with me through that. But I remember a story where there were these two trees, and one was very humble, and it didn't know what it was going to do in its life. And there was this other tree who thought it was the greatest tree in the world, and everyone loved this tree. And one of the tree who was more humble and everything like that was the tree that Jesus was crucified on. It was like, that was my meaning. I got to be with Jesus. That's a sick story to tell kids.
Yeah. Just raise your hand. Why are you, Miss? Why are you telling us this? Why?
To teach me to stay humble. I don't want that.
Like maybe one day, children, when you get older, you'll also become a cross that someone gets crucified on. She lost the metaphor there.
It's just maddening, some of these teachings. That's kind of when I realized, like, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if I could go through with the rest.
I just remember from CCD that one year my dad forgot to sign me up, and the next year I was supposed to repeat it. But then when they signed it up, he was like, "Nope, the next year, the same year." Yep, that's it. We're just keep going.
Awesome.
So I just completely skipped a year of CCD. It was great.
Yeah, I remember CCD because we went on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Mm-hmm. And I've never skipped junior high, never skipped a day of high school. I always skipped CC. That's the only
good for you.
And our communion money, we would take that because we were so poor. We take our communion money, go next door to the Mexican store, and get tacos.
That's
and just
so
sit in the
much
parking
better.
lot and eat tacos. Oh yeah, so much tastier than that communion wafer.
And I'm gonna be listen. That's exactly what Jesus would want you to do. By the way,
I think so too.
100%.
Yeah. You guys are lucky that you could get out of it. As speaking as a man that went to Catholic school for 12 years.
Oh boy.
I never got out of it. I was in there.
You're in it?
Oh yeah. I know exact. I can pinpoint the exact time where I gave up on religion. Was in CCD and it was around Christmas, and we were doing a Christmas break. We weren't learning anything about the Bible or whatever. No teachings, none of that. We were playing Hangman, and one of the kids, I guess, puzzle was Dan sucks. And the fucking teacher laughed at it. I was like, yeah, this isn't, I do not believe in this anymore. Because if we're supposed to be learning about the teachings of Jesus, who is the nicest person to have ever existed, right? The most forgiving person, who is, be kind to one another. And the fucking teacher's laughing at me. Like, that's when I realized, I can't take this seriously anymore.
I hope that teacher doesn't hear this, because they're gonna be like, "Oh fuck, I lost one. God damn it!"
So that's when I lost him.
Yeah.
Dan, this moment explains a lot of your reactions to Jackbox moments.
Well, that really taught me to get like tough skin, man. It was like,
I don't suck.
You suck. Take that. Got him. I had to get tough skin because, like, What am I gonna do? Literally, the entire class plus the teachers laughing at me right now. So it's either I get tough skin or I have a date with some razors later, and I had to just soldier on, man.
I'm glad you did.
Yes, I am too. I didn't let the haters get to me.
Go back to Christian.
That's what Kirk's doing here. He's not letting Christian, aka the hater, get to him. He's gonna fix him, unlike that teacher of yours.
So Christian asks, how can he rationalize Santa and reindeer and sliding down chimneys in the name of Jesus? And then Kirk Cameron sings Santa Claus has come to town, and I'm pretty sure he's never heard the song before.
Yeah.
This movie could have been an hour if this director didn't ad-lib so much. Kirk talks about the real Santa Claus. We cut all the way back to the shepherd-looking guy from the beginning of the movie. He tells the story of Nicholas from Turkey that spoke out against heretics that believed Jesus to be less than God and quote-unquote fought to preserve the sanctity of the Trinity. And then Nicholas beats the shit out of the heretic, which is an admitted exaggeration of what actually happens.
It's a very saintly thing to do.
There should be like a 7-string guitar, like power chords, like going on during this whole scene. Like I feel like he's such a badass. Like
it should have been
an accompanying soundtrack.
It should have been Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Carol of the Bells or something.
Yeah.
Well,
nice.
I'll tell you what this money didn't go to was the music for this, because all of it is stock tracks.
Yeah.
I think they're all like preloaded iMovie music and something.
Yeah. Extreme music. That is who all these songs are courtesy of. Extreme music.
Yeah. This scene takes on a whole different meaning as the years after this movie was made, in the same way that I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus by Michael Jackson did once new evidence has come to light.
Right.
Like, you know, all the things post 2016 of fighting for your religion and, you know, doing all that stuff. You know, he went out and he just kicked the shit out of a heretic. You need to do that. Anybody that speaks out against what you believe, just beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
It's essentially what this scene is saying, in a not, in a slightly gentler way.
It's like the inverted whole, like the last year, like, if you see a Nazi, punch him in the face, or I punch Nazis in the face. It's like an inverted version of that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Punch heretics in the face. Yeah.
There you go.
Talking about your Lord in a not the same way that you do. Kick his ass.
Because that's what Jesus would want.
That's all it comes down to. Everybody's religious. They're just like, you know, well, Jesus was a prophet. He's not as big as God. That's what this whole scene is, that he's not God. He's the Son of God, which just, I don't know.
Again, one of the like the main teachings, turn the other cheek, right? Saint Nicholas is like, nope, fuck that. I'm gonna
smite that fucking cheek. Turn that cheek so I'll smite the other one too.
Make it both.
But then the legend grows and Saint Nicholas becomes a story over the world. And Christian is embarrassed by his naivety. Christian is basically the only person who has ever listened to an argument and completely changed his beliefs. But Kirk tells him the end of the story should be that Christian returns to the party and apologizes to his wife. So Christian returns to the party in dramatic fashion, which stops the party dead. And Kirk tells Christian to go into the party with new eyes. So Christian slides across the foyer on his stomach, and apparently this is a lesson from God. And Kirk says to imagine the presents under the tree as a new Jerusalem sitting below the tree of life. He also says that God always gives gifts at the base of trees, so it's okay to open them.
I must have missed that in the Bible.
Yeah, it's grasping at straws, 21:14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say above all else, when it comes to Christian, I would tap him for a pinch runner, because that, I know he could slide into home. Sliding into the house.
Just belly to the ground like a penguin.
Just went for it.
Yeah, I guess the spirit was just speaking to him, man. It was flowing through him. He had no choice. It's a lot of stretching, man. When he talks about how the Bible started in a tree lot and it's Eden, where do you get that connection? Like, where are you going with that? That's not a tree lot. There's 2 trees. That's a piss poor tree lot. I would immediately turn around and go to a better tree lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is just the benefit of having everything that you're going to argue written for you down.
Yeah.
When an argument is scripted, you get to decide if you win or lose.
Yeah. It's scripted. It gets handed to you. No, this argument's wrong, and I'll tell you why. Zoom in on my face. Give me a cup of hot chocolate.
And then Christian acts like a maniac for the rest of the party, jumping into Santa's lap, getting pictures taken with everyone. Meanwhile, Kirk's sister never stops walking in slow motion, looking skeptically at her own husband. And Kirk tells us that we need to decorate our homes with all signs pointing to Jesus, and remind your children that nutcrackers represent King Herod's soldiers intent on murdering baby Jesus. Then Christian apologizes to his wife, who has had the same face throughout the entire goddamn movie. Christian says that he organized a hip-hop dance crew that encompasses all the joy and gospel bursting into excitement that I alone as one man cannot express. Then DeAndre hits the music, because of course he does. And then the dance crew dances to Angels We Have Heard on High. Fucking white people dance.
Yes.
I'm glad I missed that.
Oh, what part did you cut out? You cut as soon as you saw dancing, you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah, as soon as these kids started to dance, I just said nope.
Yeah,
nope, right on out of there.
The God Squad did nothing for you.
Oh yeah. It like maybe there was a shred of religion left in me. Gone. Once I saw those honkies dancing.
So you missed when Bridget Cameron took her heels off and all of a sudden started doing a hip hop routine very poorly.
Correct. Yes, I missed that gladly.
It seemed like she didn't even want to do it.
No.
I feel that way as like a theme for this whole movie, is that Bridget Cameron did not want it. I think she's just a body. I think she needs to be saved, but not in like the Jesus-y way. I think she literally needs to be saved from her brother, because I think he's just like, I got an idea for a movie. We're going to make it. You're going to be in it. And she's like, oh, because it's just like, he doesn't have to pay her.
Yeah, it would explain a lot, because she was a stand-in for her whole career. So
yeah. Was she really?
Yeah.
I think the problem is that Candace is too famous, and her husband is also too famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told her that if she doesn't star in the movie, she doesn't get into heaven. So God told me, if you don't do my movie, you're going straight to hell.
And as you just mentioned, Candace and her husband are way too famous to be suckered in with that line.
Yeah.
By the way, I feel like Kirk Cameron then should be saved for Christmas, because I mean, Candace probably not going to his house, and even if she does, she's just like corny and Jesus-y.
Yeah.
She goes and makes successful, in quotes, Christmas movies.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's as religious as Kirk, but doesn't advertise it, and that's why she's still a viable bankable star in her own way.
Yeah, she's not like out and corny about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what Kirk Cameron's talking about, right? She's one of those people who says, celebrate it, but don't be too loud about it.
Right. He was talking specifically to Candace.
And
can we assume that the other group was Bridget?
I love that now this movie, I mean, we've gone through so many iterations of if we can call it a film. Now it's just to undercut and passive aggressively talk shit about his sisters.
Yeah.
Which in reality is like, the most holiday thing you could do.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, as a man. I was going to say, Dan, as a man with 2 sisters, do you feel this could be a very plausible situation?
Oh God, yes. And that's normal. That's so normal of a family thing to do. Just like you air your grievances, man. It's just you talk shit about your family, like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, and then you come together and you hash it out. That's the holidays.
If we want to keep going with this thread, I could 100% see this movie being written and created because of one offhanded comment by Candace to Kirk one time.
I'll show her.
I'll show her.
Reason for the season, my ass.
Then we all endure secondhand embarrassment as this dance scene goes on for a solid 5 minutes.
Dude, you can scrub through this and go, oh shit, it's still going.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I did that too.
I clicked that 15 seconds ahead plenty of times.
My my wife used to choreograph stage plays. Do like set decoration, stuff like that. And she used to choreograph like all the dance numbers and stuff. She has a whole like Jesus camp like backstory too. So I really wanted to watch this with her, but it just timing didn't work out. And we'll end up watching it again. It'll be my third. But I feel like while watching that dance number, I'm like, oh man, I wish Liz was here. And then I was like, no, I don't think she would like to see this. I think this would be really bad. And then I was like, no, she has to see that.
Yeah.
I went through all these different iterations and ended up there.
Yeah.
So all that to say, it's an amazing dance sequence.
Yeah, and the specific moment you came to that realization was when Kirk Cameron started doing the worm, correct?
I knew that would seal the deal.
Does the worm?
Like, I know my wife. I'll seal it.
Yep, he does the worm in slow motion.
Everything about this sounds upsetting.
Yeah, and this movie even has a freeze frame ending.
It does.
Oh no!
I have it down on here. Yeah, but then Kirk gives us permission to indulge in the materialism of Christmas because, as the prosperity doctrine states, wealth and material possessions are only possible because God has allowed it. So indulging in it is a celebration of God. We end on my least favorite freeze frame that we've ever encountered. Just a cheat.
And that wink from Kurt is very much buys into our theory that he bribed his sister to be in this movie.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then we're treated to bloopers. All the best movies have bloopers at the end. And apparently there's a credit sequence. I didn't realize that. What is it? It's just beatboxing?
Yeah, he did the Andre beatboxes, and then the conspiracy theory guy just starts rapping.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did the scrubbing thing, like following along the timeline, because I didn't see this last time I watched it, and I saw at the end that there was still. I was like, oh, there's a scene here, and I clicked it, and then they started beatboxing, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I think DeAndre talks to Christian once.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, all right, just talk to that other black guy and we'll film it. Just talk about some conspiracy shit that you read on Wiki.
Yeah. And I 100% think they had to re-record dialogue. That's why they did the cups in front of their mouths.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because that would have to show foresight, right?
Yeah. He was like, yeah, the scene being shot, Kurt, or the director's like, I don't really know what you guys say here, so just put your cups in front of your mouths. I'll film it for like 30 seconds, 90 seconds, and then we'll do some ADR afterwards.
Yeah, because they do a joke like that in The Simpsons of the Super Bowl episode, because they didn't know who was going to be in the Super Bowl when they made the episode, and then they just ADR'd it. Because everybody moves the cups over their heads like Denver Broncos, Atlanta Falcons. But so I don't know what it would have been here as like what they're covering up, because it's obvious ADR in that scene. But
yeah, I thought you were going to go with the
voice.
I thought you were going to go with the Mr. Black. Here's my good friend, Black. Mr. Black.
No. So yeah, that's Kirk Cameron saving Christmas. I think this could be one of the worst. Yeah. I mean, it's in its own kind of category, though, because this isn't really a movie.
Right.
Not like our favorite. What was what's the woman where she fucks her dog?
Love on a Leash.
Love on a Leash. That's still probably the worst actual movie that we've seen.
Yeah. As much as we shit on this movie actually had sound direction. So.
Yeah. That movie literally had no music. But yeah, this is I couldn't even say what to make this better. It shouldn't exist.
I think we did an entire part of the episode on making this better.
Yeah. If Kirk Cameron at the end of it, he finds out he has diabetes because of all the hot chocolate he drinks.
Yeah.
You have 3 months to live. Oh
no. His blood's 40% cocoa.
Right. It's so rich and chocolatey.
He gets a paper cut. Smells delicious in here. Hot cocoa?
Make a fondue out of his blood.
All right. Alyx, where can we find you?
Oh, you can find us at and me on bingemedia.net. Our flagship BingeCast comes out every Monday morning. And if you are a subscriber to our Patreon, it's patreon.com/bingemedia. You get our BingeCast a day or so earlier, and you get access to the full binge for $5 a month. The full binge is the extra 2 or so hours added to the BingeCast, and all of our other exclusive shows and commentaries. Pete does a lot of commentaries previous.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This was a lot of fun, despite the movie that we talked about.
Oh, I could talk about this for another hour. And I feel like we could too.
Yeah.
We could all do it. We won't boot.
All right, guys, you want to plug your shit so we get out of here?
Yeah, real quick, just want to quickly say that we're still in the midst of our Extra Life campaign raising money for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. You can donate through the end of the year, so December 31st. It is at tinyurl.com/markhatesart, so you can donate there. We're currently at our, we're nearing our second goal of $2,000, so we're pretty close. We're going to be doing another Twitch stream to kind of give us that final push at the end of the year. Come join us. We'll be playing some Jackbox games, and who knows what else we'll be playing. But yeah, if you can donate, great. If not, if you could just tell a friend, see if they can help, that'd be great. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeah, and then our other podcast, Stranger Damies, our D&D podcast, will be airing its final 2 episodes coming up. So make sure you check those out. And thank you guys for being there through 150-something episodes that we've done. Yeah, we should. I'm trying to tie it to the anniversary of our first posting, which will be sometime, I think, 2 weeks. So we may have back-to-back episodes to make that happen. But yeah, so we're on Instagram and Twitter at Stranger Damies. We are continuing the campaign, so if you are interested in the story, there will be photos and commentary on there. And if we feel the need to, we may do another one of our interview shows talking to strangers for your listening pleasure. And then we have our gaming podcast, the Game Vault Podcast, which airs every other Monday. So be sure to check us out. We're on all socials at Game Vault Pod. And then twitch.tv/Game Vault Pod is where the stream for Extra Life will be. And it's also where we stream 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Each day is themed. Monday is Tom's night, and he usually does like some kind of RPG, and he does our retro roulette game. Wednesday, we do multiplayer shooters, which will probably be Halo Infinite now and into the future. And Thursdays is my co-op day right now. Me and Jen are going through It Takes Two. We're almost finished there. Should have it done by the end of the year. So be sure to check that out.
Okay, great. And we are They Called Us Movie. You can find us on all podcast streaming apps just by searching They Called Us Movie, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us there. TheMainDaemon.com is our main website, and you can find us on all socials just by searching The Main Damies. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Search The Main Daemon, will pop right up. We are a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gvnation.com and on all socials and all podcast streaming apps just by searching Geek Vibes Nation. Tons of great shows. If you're into geek stuff, there's surely a show for you. We're also on TikTok at They Call Us a Movie. We post some videos there, short little clips from our podcast. You can find that by They Call Us a Movie. Questions, comments, you want to suggest a movie for us, themaindaemon@gmail.com is our email address. And we'd love to hear from you. If you have a minute, give us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. It really helps us out. And that's about all for us. I want to thank Alyx once again from Binge Media for coming on this week. And the director of Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas is Darren Doan. And I'm going to bring something back for this specific episode. For Dan Aquino, Mark Myers, and Alyx from Binge Media, this is Anthony Devico telling director Darren Doan and Kirk Cameron, go fuck themselves.